Hello everybody, my name is Nix and I just finished the game Mirror Forge. So what did I think about the game? First off, the mechanics are very easy. WASD, and then you have the number 1 button and then the F button. Those are the only ones that you need. And then you do left and right mouse click. Right mouse click, you pick up stuff and stuff. You pick up stuff, and right click, you interact with things. No, left click, you interact with things. Sorry. So mechanics-wise, it's very simple. You're supposed to be able to play this with a gamepad. I played it with M&K, but it was quite simple. Story-wise, I really liked this story. It was really, really good. It's about Thomas, who very early on you learn that he just woke up 20 years ago in the middle of a field, and he has no memory of who he is or what he did before that. Like, he just woke up and then, yeah. And he has like this really weird scar on his hand that he doesn't know where he got it from. So Thomas is trying to like understand who he is and like, he's been trying to do that for 20 years. And then Jill, his partner, but they separated. But then one day she goes missing in a really weird accident. And you're trying to learn to find out what happened to her. And in this quest, you kind of end up going into a multiverse, which is really interesting. I'm not going to explain more about that, but he's going to find some very interesting puzzles and very interesting creatures in this multiverse, which is really cool. Other than that, story-wise, I think that's basically the main story. And I think the story was a huge plus. It was really, really interesting. Because you don't really fight with things, I'm not going to go through like fighting mechanics or anything like that. However, this game has quite a lot of bugs. I did encounter quite a few, especially like with collusions. I found some bugs where, like, I ended up, you're supposed to use like a little seesaw to get up on top of one thing, and then I was standing on top of it and it just launched me, for example. So like it's a little bit of issues with collusions and stuff. There's also like one small thing that was mildly annoying, which was every time there was a cutscene, you had to wait for a few seconds before you could actually control your character. So that wait was, it's not a huge wait, but it added up because there was a few cutscenes where you actually like just stood there, you wanted to be able to move, which was a little bit sad. And one more thing that did actually end up being a thing in this game that did bother me, I don't want to say quite a lot, but it did bother me a bit. It was the fact that you had your weapon, like your, I don't know if you call it weapon, but you had a relic in the first slot, number 1. And you had your flashlight, which is F, but you were unable to have those two at the same time, which meant that in some situations, it was quite difficult to, like, you were being chased and you had to use your thing to trap them and then run. And those situations, it was a little bit hard because it was quite dark and it was difficult to see where you were running. So that actually kind of made it a little bit of not an issue, but it did make a little bit of an annoyance. I managed to beat the game anyway, so it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, I think that was the issue. So a few bugs, especially with collusions, the waiting for loading screen, and then the flashlight and the relic that you can use. So those were the issues for me. However, I do believe that the story and the way that you play this game kind of outweighs that, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think that the story is quite interesting and really cool. The puzzles are not really hard, which is nice, because I was actually hoping for quite a story-rich game, which I haven't played a lot of story-rich horror games lately. So this one is actually really, really good in that way. The combat part of it, I completely understand why they chose how to have it that way. And personally, my preference would have been to be able to have some kind of weapon where you can shoot and kill them, but I don't see that as any issues with this game. I think it is, at least you have a mechanics to get away from them, so you don't only have to completely blindly run. And most parts where you were followed by enemies, you had like a way of circling them. There also was a few cool little monsters in this game. One thing though that I would have wanted to understand a little bit better, and maybe it's not a huge deal, but something that actually sparked my interest was at one point I got an achievement where an enemy was called Depression or something. You do during, careful, now you're gonna get some spoilers, but during the game you do end up being able to know that they are feeding on your fear. So I would have wanted to understand that connection and why they were chose to be named Depression, for example. So like there's a few little nuances there that I would have wanted to know more. Maybe I need to just dig into this game a little bit more and find out that thing. But yeah, would I recommend this game? Yeah, actually I would. I thought it was a really good game, despite there was a few issues with it. Despite there was a lot of bugs, the loading screen and whatnot. I still feel like it was definitely worth a playthrough because I had a lot of fun playing it, and the story was actually really, really nice. So yeah, I do recommend this one. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye! Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you didn't enjoy it, then well, you're just gonna have to watch me dance awkwardly once again.